Today's lesson is going to be on solving linear inequalities with multi-steps. So please begin by writing down your I can statement that I can solve linear inequalities using more than one operation. Pause the video if you need to, as I'm going to continue on explaining. So solving a multi-step equation is similar to what we've done before. Can be solved by undoing our operations. So we've done this before where we undid MDOS. So we are going to look at MDOS and go backwards, meaning we need to do adding or subtracting first and then multiplying or dividing. In this problem, it says write and solve an inequality to find the sales for Mrs. Jones, to find what Mrs. Jones needs if she earns a monthly salary of $2,000 plus 10% commission in her sales. Her goal is to make at least $40,000. So at least means that we are going to have the greater than or equal to sign. If you need to reference how I knew that, look back at lesson 5.1, right above example 4, that chart we looked at in class as well, so that you can reference when you see those words. That's how you decide what symbol to pick. So I wrote down that she needs to make at least $4,000, so I said greater than or equal to 4,000. We know she currently makes $2,000, and that she also gets a 10% bonus. So that 10% bonus can be written as a decimal as 0.10. We don't know how much her commissions, how much her sales are, so we're going to say 0.10x. Now we're going to solve our equation undoing MDOS. So first thing we need to do is add or subtract, and we will subtract $2,000 first. Then we will have left over that 0.10x is greater than or equal to 2,000, and now we will do the multiplying or dividing, which is going to be dividing by 0.10, leaving us with that x is going to be greater than or equal to $20,000. So in order for Mrs. Jones to reach her goal of $4,000 per month, she needs to sell $20,000 of product. Complete the U-try on the next page or below and pause the video, then we'll go over it tomorrow in class. On this next page here, we are reminded that when multiplying or dividing by a negative number, the direction of the inequality of the symbol changes. This will still be true when we do multi-steps. So we are going to do MDOS backwards. First, I'm going to rewrite the problem here and see that I need to apply the adding or subtracting first. So I'm going to add 13 to both sides, resulting in that negative 11y will be greater than 55. Now I'll do the dividing or multiplying, and I need to divide by negative 11 on both sides. Notice I immediately drew my red arrows so that I would remember that I need to flip my sign because I divided by a negative. So I'm going to highlight that again in red so we don't forget we divided by a negative, so we need to flip our sign. Now I have y is less than negative 5, and I need to graph it. So in order to graph this, I draw up my number line, and then I'm going to have an open circle because it's not equal to, and pointing to the right, I apologize, to the left, because that is the way that the symbol is pointing, and those numbers are less than negative 5. Complete the two guided practices on your own. We will go over those tomorrow in class. In example 3, we are just translating from words into an equation and solving from there. So it says 3 minus 11 times a number, so that is 3 minus 11x is more than, so I looked back at that table again, that's going to be greater, and 21 minus 5 times x, so I wrote that down. Now I'm going to just cover up this extra work down here so that I have room to write really quick. Okay. Then if I add 5x to both sides, You can choose to start with a different point. I just chose 5x. Then I will simplify and get that 3 minus 6x is greater than 21. Then I can subtract 3 to from both sides and simplify and get negative 6x is greater than 18. Divide by negative 6. Again, drew in those red arrows so I can remember that I'm dividing by negative, so I need to immediately flip the sign. And then I will get x is less than negative 3. Go ahead and try the example on your own, the U-try, and we will go over that in class. This next example, we are just applying the distributive property to this problem and then continuing to solve like we know below. So first I need to distribute 4 to the 3t, so 4 times 3t is 12t. And then 4 to the negative 5, that negative will stay with the 5, and I'll get negative 20. Then I bring down the plus 7, and the rest of the problem is greater than or equal to 8t plus 3. Now I'm going to combine like terms on each side of the equation if I can. So here I have negative 20 plus 7, so 12t minus 13 is going to be greater than or equal to 8t plus 3. Now I can move all of my t on one side and all of my constants to the other. So first I'll subtract 8t from both sides, and I'll get 4t minus 13 is greater than or equal to 3. Then add 13 to both sides, and you get 4t is greater than or equal to 16. Continue on dividing by 4 on both sides. Since we did not multiply or divide by a negative, my sign will stay the same as greater than or equal to 4. It asks us to graph down a number line, so I'm going to plot those points really quick. And since it is greater than or equal to, I have a solid circle, and I am pointing it to the right. Go ahead and pause the video and try the examples below. We will go over them in class tomorrow. If solving an inequality results in a statement that is always true, then the solution set is all real numbers, as we have seen before. So a solution set can be written using these fancy brackets here. I had a few students ask about this in class, so I'm just going to briefly introduce it and we will practice it some more tomorrow. What that means is your answer to the problem, you're going to draw this fancy bracket, the variable that they give you, a straight line, and then the inequality. So if it's x is greater than 2, and then a fancy bracket, and we are done. Back to the explanation that if solving an inequality results in a statement that is never true, the solution is an empty set. And we know that an empty set can be written with a circle with a line through it. The empty set means that it has no members, it has no numbers that make the statement true. So in this first example here, we are going to distribute and simplify so that we can see what kind of answer we are going to get. So I distribute the 5 to the t and the negative 5 to the negative 5 as well, resulting in 9 minus 5t plus 25 is less than or equal to, and distribute the 4, giving you 4t minus 12. Now I can combine like terms on either side of the inequality before moving things to either side. So if I combine like terms here, I have 4t plus 25 is going to be less than or equal to 4t minus 12. So then plus 12 to both sides to simplify the problem. I end up with 4t plus 37 is less than or equal to 4t. So I can subtract 4t to both sides, and I result in 37 is less than or equal to 0. Is this true? Is 37 less than 0? No, it is not true. So then, since the answer is not a true statement, then we know that our solution set has to be 0, or no solution. It's the 0 with a line through it, meaning no solution. Now in example B, distribute again and simplify. So now I can combine like terms. One thing that I've noticed we have a hiccup on is we like to add this 24 over to the 42. That is incorrect because it's not moving it to the other side of the inequality or equal sign. So instead what we can do is just rewrite the problem so that we can have those two terms next to each other. If you can do the equation without rewriting it, that is fine. So here I just rewrote it so that 42 and 24 were next to each other. Now you can see that 42 minus 24 is the side that we need to simplify first. So I do that and I get 12m plus 18 is less than or equal to 18 plus 12m. I put a red star here and I will talk about it in 1 second, but for now I'm going to continue on with the problem. So if I subtract 18 from both sides, I see that I get 12m is less than 12m. I could subtract 12m from both sides and see that I get 0 is less than or equal to 0. So I say again, is this true? And it is true. 0 is less than or equal to 0. 0 does equal 0. So we can say our solution set here is all real numbers. The reason I put this red star back up at where we had 12m plus 18 is less than or equal to 18 plus 12m, because if you recognize that the equations are exactly the same and it has an equal to sign, has to have an equal to sign, then yes, you can just skip down to the answer and say it is all real numbers. You don't need to show that extra work. This concludes the lesson. Please complete all the U-tries and we will go over them in class tomorrow.